Okay, perfect. So, hello. Today we're going to be doing a demo. So I'm going to be using the Myolift QT and I'm going to be using it with the Madare Hydrofill sheet masks. So I'm just going to give a second and then we're going to jump in. Let me just double check, make sure this is all working the way that it's supposed to. And let me bring you just a little closer. Okay, perfect. So if you do have any questions, you can write those in the chat and I should be able to see them pop right up. You'll have to excuse me. My voice is a little funny today. So I just have my coffee to help me to not sound so raggedy. So here we are. Let's discuss the Madare Hydrofill masks. This is a beautiful sheet mask. Comes with a full ounce of serum in each one of these little sachets. So what does the serum do? What is the sheet mask really good for? The Madare Hydrofill sheet mask is going to be targeting any kind of dehydration, any kind of irritation, and also pigmentation of the skin. So I'll get a little bit more into the ingredients once we kind of jump in and get started with everything. One thing that's really cool about this mask is that when we're using it, we're going to do our treatment with our QT with the probes right on top of the mask. So it's a nice way for you to do a treatment on the go. Since the mask is your conductive layer, you don't have to remove anything from the skin after you're done. I've seen people do this on planes, trains, cars, just because you don't have to use water. You don't have to rinse anything. You do want to start with clean skin. So if you have access to water, you can do a quick cleanse. If you're on the go, you could use just a little bit of toner or something on a cotton pad to just clean your skin up. So let's jump in. I did cleanse my skin already. I used the Mangosteen cleanser from 70 Wellness. And I'm going to go in on bare skin and I'm going to start out by using the Replenish. Cluck the nails. Replenish is our hydrating spritzer. So that's going to be my first layer to kind of hydrate my skin and prep me so that the microcurrent and the mask are going to work better. When the skin is hydrated, it's better at absorbing nutrients. It's also better at conducting electricity. So both of those things are going to be really helpful to make sure our treatment is effective. So I'll take this. I like to do some mists on the skin, really generous. That has hyaluronic acid. It also has lavender, chamomile, and geranium, and glycerin. So it's really hydrating. It's also going to be soothing on the skin. This has zinc, so it's also going to help to conduct that current. So now let's get into the fun part. Let me move my hair out of the way. I'm going to take my Hydrofill mask, and we're going to pull her out. So this set is a set of 5. I like to do these once a week. This is like your weekly hydration routine. So that one box will get you about a month and a week. If your skin is super dry or super irritated, you can choose to use it a little bit more often. If you have a really compromised barrier, this is something you can do a couple times a week even. Oh, that's funny. My nails match the packaging so perfectly. I did not even plan that, but that's really funny. So let's open her up. So this comes with a really generous amount of the serum here. You can take this serum once you're done and hold on to it. Apply that on your chest, on the backs of your hands. You can see I have a little bit of psoriasis here. So I'm actually going to do that, and it's going to be very helpful for my little dry spots. Now, here's the first thing that is really unique about this mask. It has ear flaps. So if you have problems with a mask falling off of your face, if sheet masks don't tend to really fit you that well and they're hard for you to wear, this is going to help you to keep it on. So let's see. Now that I've opened it up, you can see the regular sheet mask part, but on the sides, we've got these little ear holes. So I'm going to pop that on. Ooh, it's cold. I take that ear hole and I'm actually going to loop it around my ear. Just like that. And I'll do the same thing on this side. And then I'll just smooth that out up here. Now this cotton, this is biocellulose. So this is biodegradable. It's made from, I believe, bamboo fibers. You can kind of stretch this a little bit in certain areas to fit the shape of your face. And then those ear flaps are going to keep it on so it doesn't fall off. Now, I bet you're wondering what this part is for. This is the other thing that's really exciting about this mask. So this is a neck flap. If you're somebody who has a really dry neck, who has crepey skin or loose skin on the neck, this is going to be your favorite thing in the world. So not only does it go on the neck, it has a second little hole here. So I put these, excuse me, just let me get that open. So I'll take this part, I'll put it under the chin, and then I can pick it up and also wrap that around the ears. So I even have a little bit of pressure here as it holds the mask in place. I'll just bring that up a touch. So isn't that cool? I could run around, multitask, and do whatever I want. This is not going anywhere. So when you have this mask on the skin, you're going to keep it on for about 15 to 20 minutes while all of that product soaks in. So now we're going to take our MyoLift QT, and this is our opportunity to get in that really nice treatment. So I'm going to be using it in app free mode. You can also choose any of the other sessions from your app, and you can use the probes and do those movements. That's really up to you, but think of this as replacing your conductor gel because this is nice and wet. It has hyaluronic acid, so it's really hydrating on the skin. This also has algae and deep sea water, so this is really rich in minerals. It's going to help it to conduct the electricity. It's really calming on the skin as well because it's restoring those minerals that the skin can lose from environmental stress, from aging, and even if we just don't get essential minerals enough in our diet, it can cause the skin to be more depleted and a little bit less glowy. It can make it appear older. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to start my device. First, the light comes on and it's blue. We're going to wait 5 seconds and that's going to turn green in the meantime. Isn't that so cool? It's one of those magnetic polishes, so the shimmer moves around. Okay, distracted. So now the light is green, which means that app free mode has started. First, it's going to do 5 minutes on stretch. So let's do some movements for that. We're going to start up on the forehead, and we're going to gently slide along the surface. You heard that buzz. That confirms that the treatment just started, and I know that I'm getting conductivity. So this first setting that I called stretch, the stretch setting is releasing tension and smoothing out the muscles. So if you have forehead lines, this is going to be really helpful for you to start opening those up and smoothing them back out. Forehead lines tend to form because that area moves so much that the muscle becomes really tight. And as it gets tighter, it creates those little folds that turn into wrinkles. So because this is a wet sheet mask, the electricity passes right through it and right into the skin and the muscles. Basically, with microcurrent, water is your best friend. So anything that is watery like this and has minerals, it's going to be really good at conducting. So you'll see I'm just kind of smoothing out all over my forehead. The other thing about this mask that is super nice, I briefly mentioned earlier that I have psoriasis. So you can even see on my hand there, I get these little kind of red plaques. So my skin is super sensitive. I'm going to come in between the brows now for my 11s. Now, because my skin is so sensitive, I love to use anything anti-inflammatory, anything calming on the skin. And these Madare hydrofill masks, they actually have a special peptide that I believe is their proprietary peptide. And basically, it suppresses inflammation in the skin. So if you're like me and you have like eczema, you have psoriasis, you have sensitive skin, you have redness, flakiness, these are the kind of ingredients that are going to be helpful for you. A lot of these conditions that I'm talking about, or even if you're just sensitive, that's related to inflammation and it's related to your skin's histamine reactions. If your skin is really reactive, these kinds of ingredients, they help to control that and kind of keep things a little more calm. So I smoothed out the forehead, smoothed out in between the brows. Now I'm going to come to the sides of the eyes. So this is going to be really good for crow's feet. And I'm just doing a half moon shape and opening up that area. So this muscle that circles the eye is another one that tends to get very tight because we're constantly squinting and we're overusing it. I'll do a little bit more here. So you'll notice I'm doing more than 5 passes. This is a spot where I get really tight. And you can even see, I'll go back and I'll do the temples too. Just kind of get this whole area and smooth it out. But what I wanted to point out is that you'll even see this is a little bit higher. Even under the mask, you can see things start to move. So I'm going to go to the other side and I'm going to do the same thing. And you'll notice I'm always taking a finger and just kind of holding the mask in place. But I love, love, love doing this because, like I said earlier, since you're not using the conductor gel and you're using a sheet mask instead, this can be left on the skin. You don't have to rinse anything off when you're done. Um, so maybe this is your morning treatment before you put on your sunscreen or your makeup and then you head out the door. This can be your treatment that you take on the go while you're traveling. This can also be something you do when maybe you just don't feel like washing your face again or removing product. Okay, beautiful. So now I'm going to come around the mouth and I'm just going to smooth out the upper lip. So it's really nice. This movement is good for people that have lip lines. If you are a smoker, you drink from a straw a lot, or do anything that involves pursing the lips, you're going to be more prone to lip lines. And so this can help you to either prevent or treat that. And I'll just smooth out on the other side of the top lip. Doing microcurrent near the lips like this is also going to help to plump them up. So microcurrent is increasing your blood circulation and it's also increasing collagen production. Both of those things are going to make the lips appear much plumper. Another cool thing that we're doing with this mask, the Hydrofill from Medare, this has 3 different weights of hyaluronic acid. So hyaluronic acid is a hydrator. It naturally exists in our skin and in our bodies in general, and it helps us to retain moisture. It's also present, for example, in the skin when the skin is healing itself. And so we can take this extra hyaluronic acid that's on the surface, we can push it into the skin with microcurrent, and it's going to give a temporary plumping effect to the skin and the lips as well, which is really nice. So it just buzzed in my hand, which means that now it's switched to our second setting, which is called lift. As we do lift, we're going to be doing a slide, and then we're going to hold the device in place. This is our setting that is tightening the muscles. So I'm going to start under here on the neck. I like to place my fingers right in the center, and I'll start to the right of that, slide over and hold, and that's under the jawline. So if you think of kind of tightening a corset in order to tighten up your midsection, you're kind of doing that with the muscles of your neck here, and you're bringing them outwards and you're helping to tighten that front part of the neck. So let's talk some more about our Hydrofill mask. So like I said, I kept the extra serum that's in here. There is quite a bit at the bottom. I'm going to be putting that on the backs of my hands and on my chest. For those of you who like to wear any kind of clothing where you're showing the upper part of your chest, maybe you like things a little low cut, Basically, that skin is going to age just as rapidly or even more rapidly than the skin of the face. I have worked with many estheticians over the years as I've been at various spas. And one of my best friends that I used to work with, she would always say to her clients, your face starts at your nipples. So if you care about the whole of your face and how your chest is going to look, then any kind of nourishing products or hydrating products, you want to try to bring them down the neck. You want to bring them down the chest. You want to get the backs of your hands. These are all the spots that tend to give away aging because these are the spots where we get the most movement, the most wear and tear, exposure to the elements and UV rays. So don't forget the chest and the backs of the hands. So I've done some tightening on the neck. Now I'm going to go in and work on the jawline. So I like to follow along the jawline, hugging it with these two probes. When I get to the back, I'll hold. So let's bring her back up. I gotta tell you, this is one of my favorite masks that I tried recently. It is super hydrating. I definitely see the calming effect on my skin. It probably is that special peptide that is only in Madeira products that is doing that. The other thing I really like about it is that they use carrageenan, which you may be familiar with because it's also in a bunch of like food products. Carrageenan is an emulsifier and it's also helps to create a film on the skin, which is protective and helps to lock in moisture. So not only are we pushing a lot of moisture and hydrators into the skin, we are also trapping them there. So it's a two-phase problem. Some people, they don't have enough moisture in the skin, and so those hydrators are going to really help them. Some people, their skin doesn't hold on to it well enough. And so even if you put on something hydrating, if there's nothing to lock it in, then they're just going to resume drying back up once that product soaks in, and they'll be back at square one much more quickly than you want. So I would always keep that in mind. It's not enough to put moisture into the skin. You have to also ask the question, how do I keep it there? So I worked on the jaw. I like to then go, and from the jawline, I'll go up and scoop the cheek. So it's really nice to lift that central part of the face. Not only are you picking up the apple of the cheek, it also helps you to lift up that corner of the mouth. So you can see I'm kind of catching it as I go up. This is probably one of my favorite movements. If you have nasolabial folds, this is also a good one for you because as you can see, it's kind of opening up right in here where the fold tends to form. Now, that being said, if you have nasolabial folds, it could also just be because of your anatomy. If your face is a certain shape, you're going to be more prone to that. But engaging the muscles and picking up the skin can definitely help to minimize it. I'm going to do one more. And now I'm going to go to the outside of the face. So this is going to really help define that cheekbone. I'm going right up until I hit the bone, and then I'm working in that hollow. Just put my finger there and hold the mask. And I'll do that one more time. So we can lift upwards and then we can also lift outwards. So the face, we have big muscles that run diagonally and basically hold us up. So we're going to utilize those now and we're going to engage them to pick up the face. So I'm going to start near the mouth and I'm going to go diagonally and I'm going to hold at this high point of the cheek so that we can help to pick it up that way. So this muscle is called the zygomaticus. It runs diagonally here along the cheekbone. And when it weakens, the whole face kind of drops as a result. So we're waking that muscle up and we're creating that kind of lifted, snatched look. This is also going to bring up the angle of the cheek and it just makes you look a little bit more chiseled and a little more lifted. And now let's repeat on the other side. So first, I'm going to go along my jawline and I'm going to hold. Now, if you're somebody who really wants to contour your jawline and you feel like you don't have a lot of definition there, there's a couple reasons why that might be happening. So a lot of people tend to have fluid retention around their jawline. Basically, you're retaining extra fluid under and around here, and it's going to cause you to look a lot more puffy. It's going to make it harder to see that jawbone definition. So microcurrent is helping to dispel that liquid. Microcurrent is helping to boost your lymphatic drainage, and so that puffiness can be gradually reduced. Basically, it's swelling that gets trapped under the chin, and it makes us kind of look a lot fuller than we want to look sometimes. Not only is it doing that, it is also engaging the muscles. So you have muscle that sits right on your jawbone here, your platysma, which basically is also attached to the neck here. When you engage that edge of the platysma, you can tighten up the whole jaw. So now we're going to go upwards and hold, and we're going to start scooping our cheek. So if you're someone who feels like you have really gaunt cheeks, especially as we age, we tend to lose fat in this central area of the face. This is a really nice way for you to pick it up and create some of that roundness and fullness. A lot of us who are younger, and I've heard this over the years a lot working in spas, I'll get young clients who come in and say, I have chubby cheeks. I hate how my cheeks look. I want my cheeks to look slimmer. Some of them even go and they get procedures, like they'll get the buccal fat removal where they cut the fat out of your cheek to make you look a lot more empty here. And while you're young, that may look good. That may be kind of the chiseled look that you're going for. But when you age and you start to naturally lose some of your fat deposits in the face, those people can end up looking very much older than they are because they're missing that fullness. So I would always keep that in mind. If you're a young person and you got a little bit of chub in your cheeks, that's a good thing. Down the road, it's going to help you to still look youthful when maybe your contemporaries are starting to look a little more gaunt or a little more hollow in the face. Facial fat is something that we kind of like. At the end of the day, a little bit of it is going to be helpful. Now, microcurrent does not affect facial fat. It is something that we just naturally lose as we age. But by working on these muscles and improving the health of the skin, you can replicate some of that fullness that is lost. So now we're going to use our zygomatic on this side, and we're going to do that nice diagonal lift on the face. So I'll go to like the high point of the cheek, just outside of the eye, and I'll hold it there. So I'm just checking for questions. I'm not seeing any questions in the chat, so I think we are good. We're going to go up diagonally again and hold. And we're going to do that once more. Beautiful. So we've done a lot of lifting for the lower face. As I'm looking, you'll always check for symmetry as you go. I'm feeling like I need to do a little more right here, so I'm actually going to do a couple more passes. And that's something you'll see as you're treating your face as well. We're always kind of checking for symmetry. We're always looking at what's going on. And if a little bit more needs to happen on one side than the other, that's totally normal. That's part of how we can treat our facial symmetry. Nobody is perfectly symmetrical, but we can work towards it. So now I'm going to take my device and I'm going to slide it under the eye. This is going to help to stimulate a lot of blood flow under here, which is going to brighten up dark under eyes. So if you got really dark under eyes, if you tend to get bags or puffiness under the eyes, this is going to be really helpful to tighten up that whole area and smooth it out. And it's going to help to dispel some of that darkness. And that's if, particularly if you tend to get like fluid pooling under the eyes, which is commonly why people have that darkness. Now, the other thing we're doing is we're taking those ingredients like hyaluronic acid, marine algae, deep sea water, and we're penetrating them into the skin. So when we penetrate them into the eye area, it's going to plump up fine lines, and it's going to help to really smooth out that area. If you tend to get crepey skin under the eyes, or you find that like your concealer gets in all of the creases, that may be because your skin is needing that hydration. It needs to be kind of plumped back up. Now, the device did buzz in my hand. So normally I would have gone in and I would have done a little bit on the brows as well. App-free mode like this, it times you out. Usually I'm able to do it just perfectly, but when I talk like this, I tend to go over. So just for reference, if you are going to be treating the eyebrows and you're using the lift setting, it's really nice to get a brow lift effect. Basically, you would just take the device, you start with it up under the brow here, and then you lift and you hold. So basically, you're lifting the brow to a higher position. You're engaging that muscle. The muscle right in here is called the corrugator. And you're saying, okay, now stay here. And you're encouraging it to stay at that elevated position. And you're giving it some strength in order to do that. So you'd repeat that 3 times. You can also do it up under the head of the brow, just the same. You can take the device, start at the head of the brow, and you can slide diagonally. If that feels better for you or more natural, you can certainly do both in one sitting if the eyebrows are an area of concern for you. So you'd repeat that 3 times. Now, we've been sitting here for about 15 or 20 minutes or so, and you'll see this mask is getting pretty dry. Part of the reason why is because microcurrent is pushing the product into the skin. The mask is actually going to dry up faster than it would if you used it by itself, which I think is really cool because then you can see that product penetration and it's happening in real time. So I finished my microcurrent treatment. Now let me take my mask off. Okay, beautiful. And didn't slip once, not even for a second. I want to point out when we started, I had like some little red areas that I was able to kind of highlight, and it is so much calmer now. You can see that glow that's on the skin. Really pretty here. So I actually like to go in and I'll take the remaining serum and I'll just do a little massage on the skin. So if you want to follow along with me or learn a little bit of facial massage, I'm going to do that real quick right now. So one of the nice ways that I like to do massage to help product penetrate into the skin, something I learned a long time ago when I was working at a spa where they really focused on massage. So the idea is to take either all of your fingers, or if that's too hard, you can take just one, and you basically let the fingers gently pluck the skin and lift it upwards. So this is increasing circulation. It's increasing the ability of the skin to kind of absorb that product, and bringing that blood flow into the cells is bringing them oxygen and nutrients from the inside. So if using all those fingers is a little too hard for you, you could take 1 or 2 fingers like this. You just hold, and then you give a little touch and lift. So I like to do that near the corners of the mouth because it helps to pick that up. Like to do that in the cheek here. And doing little massage movements and tricks like this works really well alongside microcurrent because both of these things are engaging the muscles. Microcurrent is and massage. When you put them together, they help each other to work even better. So now I'm going to show you the fancy version where we just use all of our fingers. And it almost creates a vibrating feeling in the skin, and it gives you a nice little lift. And it feels good. So as I'm doing this, the last of that serum is kind of sinking in. I can feel it. And you see it gets a little rosy. That's that blood flow. So when we look at the skin after we've done a treatment, after we've done a massage or anything like that, people get a little scared when they see that there's pinkness on the skin. And one thing I always tell my professionals when I'm training is that there's a big difference between pink and red. So if the skin is a little pink like this, you saw I just pinked up from doing that massage, we like that. That's oxygen, that's nutrients, that's activation. If the skin is red, if it's hot to the touch, think of like a sunburn. That's the kind of redness that we are scared of, that we want to avoid. So a little bit of pink is good. You may see it either during massage or even during your microcurrent treatments. That's totally normal, and it tells you the skin is breathing and it's getting nourished by your body. Once you start to see red after a treatment and the skin is hot and it's uncomfortable, that's something totally different. So we love to see rosy. It is a little bit in here. The other little massage movement I want to show you, because it feels really good, is you can take 2 fingers and make little scissors like this. You start with 1 finger underneath the brow and 1 above. Use a light to medium pressure, and then you can gently follow along the brow to your temple. I like to do that 3 times just to help you relieve a little bit of tension here. You can also take your fingers. I like to use my ring finger because it is the most delicate finger. And you can start at the outer corner of the eye and you can tap around in a circle. Super, super gentle. All this is really doing is pushing that product into the skin, and this pat, pat, pat motion can just help to break up some of that fluid that accumulates underneath. If you like, you can also reverse the direction and you can go from inside to outside. Take your hands. I like to use the whole surface of the hand and just use pressure and pat, pat, pat. And you press into the skin. Now, the last thing that I'll show you, this is a favorite of mine because I do tend to have a little extra here. Not only do I have a little bit of fat under the chin, I also have fluid retention that gets pretty bad. I like to take my hands and I'll do one side at a time and I'll push over and down, very, very lightly. So it's almost like a manual lymphatic drainage, but you're just going right under the chin here. And I'll take my other hand and I'll do the same thing. Once you're comfortable with that, you can even use a little bit of a deeper pressure if you want to get more of a sculpting effect. The lighter pressure is going to be more so to help with puffiness, and that deeper pressure is going to be more so to kind of carve you up. So if you want to use a deeper pressure, take those 2 fingers and make a scissor. Bend your fingers to the knuckle, and then you can slide the knuckles along the jawline. So you can go like this, and you can contour that right out. So I'll just do one more. And that serum is pretty much totally soaked into my skin. So I'm not going to do any more massage because now there's going to be too much friction now that the product is gone. At this point, I'm going to go in and put on a little bit of moisturizer and a little bit of sunscreen, and then I'm actually going out the door. But you can put on whatever you like afterwards. After you do a microcurrent treatment like this, there's no downtime. Just make sure you drink a really good amount of water. Like I said in the beginning, this hydrofill mask with microcurrent is something I would probably do once a week. On the other days of the week, you can either go in with your device by itself, you can use any of the accessories with it, like the hands-free masks, and then this sort of weekly sheet mask, that's your deep hydration, that's your maintenance kind of treatment for your skin's barrier so that you can retain moisture. And while you're doing all of this collagen building and muscle strengthening on the inside, you can still protect that surface layer of the skin and you can maintain your hydration and your barrier on the outside. So now I just want to see real quick if there are any questions in the chat. Sometimes I miss them as I'm going through. So let me just double check. Okay, so I'm not seeing any. I guess that means I did a really amazing job. If any questions come up for you later, you can always send me an email. So you'll want to email info, I-N-F-O, at 7ewellness.com. My name is Sam. So if you mention my name, it'll go straight to me and I can answer your questions. The only comment I saw is that somebody said they never thought to put on a sheet mask and then do the probes treatment on top. If you're not somebody who can use the gel or the gel's not convenient for you in some situations, I love doing the sheet mask. If you have a favorite sheet mask that you already know your skin really likes, pair it with the microcurrent and you're going to see it work even better than normal. And that's because you're getting that enhanced product penetration. Microcurrent is not only pushing the ingredients into the skin, it's also increasing your cell permeability. And so the cells are better able to absorb the nutrients and use them. Really cool stuff. Totally natural and gentle. We're working with all the natural functions of your skin cells. We're just giving them a little boost with this electrical current. Um, and you can see the benefits clear as day. Even after one treatment, like the one I did today, the skin looks more glowy. The skin looks plumper and firmer. And I definitely think, since I focused in here, that I see a little bit of a lift. The more you do it, the better the results are and the longer they last. But even just doing one treatment like this, I expect this lift for me to stick around for probably a good 48 to 72 hours. I do microcurrent pretty often, so for me, it's probably a little longer. The more you do it, the more muscle memory you have, and so it comes in handy to be consistent. And that brings us to the end of our time. So if you watched, thank you so much, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.